Sri Shambho Ramanatha, welcome to another session of Shiva Purana. In the last Shiva Purana session, we saw that Brahma, the creator of this universe, is graced, is blessed by the Ardhanarishwara Rupa, the Ardhanarishwara form of Sadashiva, half the left side of which is the feminine Shakti, and the right side of it, or the right half of it, is the Shiva. And similarly, I was also sharing with you that we here at the Adi Shakti Natha Pitha of this particular Natha Sampradaya, we also worship the Ardhanarishwara Linga Rupa here at our ashram. In fact, not only do we have a lingam which is half male Shiva, half female Shakti, but the Shakti part of it represented by a deep maroon color, which is, kind of representing the menstrual flow of the female, and the Shiva part, which is white, which represents the male semen. The red part of our Shivalinga also carries in its womb, in its garbha, Ganesha, the future child of Parvati. We will see that in further sessions. Here in our ashram, the Ganesha is visible only when you do the Abhishekam, when you pour water over the lingam. So the confusion of Brahma, the feeling that something is lacking, the feeling of apurnatva, incompleteness in his creation, is given a blueprint by the Ardhanarishwara form, where Brahma understands the difference between the Purusha and the Prakriti, where Brahma understands that the unchangeable Purusha penetrates or impregnates the ever-changing Prakriti, and it is the Prakriti which undergoes the modifications. Of course, I have also given a very detailed explanation of this in our Sankhya Darshana session, the link of which has been provided to you. To fuel the creation, the difference between Shiva and Shakti has to be understood. It is necessary as Leela and Maya. I think we spoke about that also in our last session. It is a Shiva's Ichha, it is Shiva's desire, and it is Shiva's Adesha, it is the instruction of Shiva to start this creation. It is his desire and his command which makes the Prakriti undergo changes in name, shape, and form. Nama, Rupa, Parivartana happens because of Shiva's Ichha. That is why we also in the coming days will see that Shakti herself is divided into three kinds or three types of Shakti. Ichha Shakti, the power of desire, the Jnana Shakti, the power of knowledge and wisdom, and the Kriya Shakti, the power of action, and their corresponding Trimurtis of Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwara Rudra, as we see in the so-called Hindu pantheon of gods and goddesses. We will come to that in the further session. Brahma wants to know, just like I did when I met my guru and I asked him, Babaji, bhabhi bhi hai kya? And Brahma wants to know if it is possible for Shiva to exist without Shakti. The answer is when Shiva exists without Shakti, there is no life, there is no creation. The moment life happens, the ichha happens, the desire starts, and then the jnana and the kriya happens within the beam of illumination, the Jyotir Stambha, Shakti exists forever and ever and eternally. So Brahma's doubt of understanding Shiva without Shakti is clearly clarified here. How will a common being like you and me understand this universe? Through Shakti, we approach Shiva just as the Brahma did. We are all, by the way, creators of our own life, our own destiny. We are creators of our spiritual journey. It is up to each one of us to surrender to the grace of the Shaktis so that they can lead us to Sadashiva Paramashiva. To unravel the mystery of understanding Sadashiva, we have requested Vishnu to create and sustain this universe, because without this universe, the universality or the multiversality of the creator or the creation as Sadashiva cannot be understood. Let me repeat this. This might be a little difficult to comprehend if you are a first-time listener of what I'm saying. The creator and the creation are not different in our tradition. The universe, the multiverse is nothing but Sadashiva in modification. The understanding of the modification of the creation is the understanding of the creator himself or herself. Now, for the creator to understand himself, for Shiva, for Sadashiva to understand himself, he needs to undergo the modification, because in a modification-less or a changeless form, what is there to be understood? Nothing. Only when you are able to see where you have come from and where you will go, perceive. When I say see, I mean perceive. Where you have come and where you will go, can you understand your present in the first place? I will give you an example. Just as a beautiful lotus floats on a lake which is full of muck and dirt, yet is not attached to it, but we cannot understand the beauty of the lotus without the muck, without the mud, without the slime in which it grows. So if you understand Shiva as the beautiful lotus which is floating on these mucky waters of this universe or the multiverses that exist, then you understand all that is pure and holy as Sadashiva compared to the polluted waters of the lake. Only when you understand the pollution of this universe will you understand the holiness of Sadashiva. And you have to realize that you are the localized memory or the localized awareness of the Sadashiva understanding itself. For that, we need to create the polluted universe around us, for which we request Vishnu to permeate and sustain this universe. Brahma is ordered to start the process of creation so that the Leela of Sadashiva can start. The Leela of Sadashiva is, the idea of Sadashiva is to become so engrossed in this polluted universe that the journey back home to the purity and to the complete holiness of Sadashiva can begin the transformation of an ugly caterpillar to the beautiful butterfly can begin. The journey of getting caught in this Jivana Chakra, the journey of being trapped in this body, time, and space can be transcended, and the space or the place or the Sadashivatva, the Tattva, the reality, the truth of me being Sadashiva can be achieved through the creation of this universe. That is the only reason why this universe exists, so that each one of us, localized versions of Shiva, can become enlightened and realize that it is Shiva himself who is undergoing this transformation as the modified Prakriti, so that he can reach the state of Sadashiva. So for the common person, for the common human, to achieve the ultimate truth of Shiva Shakti oneness, this universe becomes the Sakara. Sakara means the form of Sadashiva, and a realized human actually becomes the Sakara form or the Avatarana of Sadashiva himself. That is why you will find in every religion of this world, when we talk about the creation myth or the process of creation, every religion in this world says that man was created in the same form as God. Here in the Shiva Purana, it is making us note that every human who realizes the truth that he is the localized version of Sadashiva, creation and creator himself, he becomes the Sakara Purusha. He becomes the Sa-akara, the form, the good form of the Lord. He becomes the Avatarana, the descent of the universal consciousness into a form of a limited human body, which is, even though existing in a trapped space and working in a time-bound manner, because the body has to fall and wither away, the enlightened Sadashiva Avatarana in the localized human form understand that he is immortal. He or she is nothing but Sadashiva expressing himself as, for a lack of reference, Guru Moksha or any enlightened being. If Tejas tomorrow becomes enlightened, then Sadashiva will be operating as Tejas Sri Ram in that form. So what should be the purpose of your life? There is only one purpose. There is only one reason why we are all born as humans. That is for us to realize that we are expressions of Sadashiva. He is expressing himself as you and me. And that is why at the very beginning of the process of creation, we see Brahma understanding the blueprint through the Shiva and Shakti unity. He, Sadashiva, is instructing Brahma to teach Dharma, Kartavya, and Rita to the individual human. See, you got to understand, right now we are descending from the highest universal consciousness down to the dumbest, grossest consciousness, right? I've already spoken to you about this in the Sankhya philosophy. Here, the job of the Chaturmukha Brahma is to teach what is dharma. Dharayati iti dharma, that which upholds everything in this universe, the universal laws like gravity. It doesn't matter whether you are a human, whether you are a Christian or a Muslim or a Hindu or a Sanatani or a Buddha or a Jaina or an elephant or a deer or a snake or a lizard or a bird. There is a universal law called gravity which works exactly the same way in any part on this earth, or extrapolating it to the entire universe, which works exactly in the same way in any part of this universe. This is dharma. So there are physical laws which can be called universal dharmas, and there are laws of consciousness itself. There are laws of awareness which we study as spirituality and adhyatma in the Sanatana Dharma, which is universal. It doesn't matter what kind of a human you are. It doesn't matter if you are a Yaksha, Gandharva, Kinnara, Rakshasa. The laws of consciousness, the laws of awareness remain the same in every part of this universe. This is the whole study of Adhyatma, to understand the universalness of the laws of consciousness. Also, Shiva also instructs Chaturmukha Brahma to make every human understand his karatavya. Look at this word, it is a very beautiful word. Karatavyam. Those that must be done. Literally, it means those that must be done. Karatavyam, that which you must do. Your karma and your kriya. I have been telling you continuously and constantly that we must learn to live inside out. We must learn to live inside out, which means to say you must understand yourself to a certain degree, and understanding your own prakriti and pravritti and previous karmas will give you the proper methodology of actions outside of you. Kriya is the process that happens inside of you. Once you have a certain degree of understanding of your own self inside of you, you shall be able to express it in actions outside of you, which becomes karma or karatavya. When you are doing every action with awareness, then it becomes your karatavya. So every one of us must understand where our kartavya lies. And once you have understood your kartavya, your life becomes blissful, it becomes happy, and it becomes the real expression of Sada Shiva as your own self. Brahma is also tasked, given the job of making every human understand the rita, or the flow or the direction of the flow of the universal Shaktis. Rita. The Rita is also understood by the West as the Tao or the Chi, the flow of the Rita, the direction in which the universe is going. We must align ourselves with the desire of Shiva. We must understand ourselves. We must align ourselves with the knowledge of Shiva. We must also align ourselves with the action of Shiva as the universal being. Thereby, we become what is called in the Vedas as the Amrita Putras, the immortal beings. So you must understand your own dharma, which is called Swadharma. You must understand your Kartavya. You must understand what is the most important effortless action you can take. Any action that you are taking which makes you feel that you're expending some energy or you're feeling tired means you're not doing your kartavya, because it is not an expression of your own self. And both of these, that is the dharma and your kartavya, must be in line, in sync, in the same direction as the flow of the universe. The rita, which in itself is a very, very deep and a vast subject. Probably in the coming days, we shall have an exclusive session to understand what rita means. So, having blessed Brahma, the ability to create and to give the knowledge, jnana and vidya of going back to the source of Godhead, every human journey back to the source as Sada Shiva, that blueprint is shared with Chaturmukha Brahma. And then when Chaturmukha Brahma says, you need to be here in this universe so that if I ever make any mistake, I must be corrected and guided. Tathastu, so be it, says Sadashiva, and he says, I will descend upon this earth and I will stay on Mount Kailasha as the Rudra. Let me repeat that. Sadashiva says that I will descend upon this earth, which is the karma bhumi out of the 14 lokas or 14 worlds that exist in the Sanatana Dharma's understanding of this universe. The karma bhumi is this earth, Prithvi or bhumi itself, on which Sadashiva descends as Rudra, and he makes Mount Kailasha his abode. That is also why we organize a trip to Mount Kailasha, and this year we are expected to be there in August. The details I think I've already shared with you. Otherwise, we'll put it in the description. Why Kailasha? Why not some other place? It is very important to understand that Shiva says that I want to present a prototype of a Ghora yogi and a tapasvi. Of a Ghora yogi and tapasvi, the very idea of Rudra sitting on Mount Kailash is for us to understand that he is a intense yogi, meditating all the time and engaged in tapasyapaha, in burning away the karmas that get accumulated because of the impurity of this universe. He says that I will be smearing my entire body with ash from the cremation ground where human bodies are cremated. Even today, in all the Dwadasha, 12 Jyotirlingas in Bharata, the lingas are smeared with the first cremated body's ashes. Even today, the first body that is cremated in Kashi has the fortune of ending up on the forehead of the Shivlinga of Kashi Vishwanatha. That is also one of the reasons why many people want to go to Kashi so that their cremated ashes can end up adorning the Shivalinga there. So this ash that is rubbed on the body of Shiva will be a reminder of Vairagya and Nashvarata of creation. What do you mean by Vairagya? That means to say that Shiva always wants to show that he is neither attached nor detached from this universe, but exists just as the water bubble exists on the lotus leaf. Padmapatra iva ambasa. We too should learn from Shiva and exist in this world as a bubble of water, not really getting sucked into the Arishad Vargas, the Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya, not getting sucked into the pain and pleasure of this universe, but understanding all the modification that is happening is the modification of the Shaktis, while Sadashiva as me is always going to be nirlipta, is always going to be unattached. It also shows the Nashvarata of creation, which means to say the rubbing of the ash on the body or on the forehead that most of us do these days shows us that the universe is but temporary, but the state of Sadashiva is permanent. One must realize that this universe is temporary, that me as Sadashiva, my universal consciousness state is eternal. That is the Sanatana. That is also the fire of Sanatana that we see in every temple that is consecrated inside the idols of our favorite gods and goddesses or deities. Sadashiva also says, I will be the example of a meditative guru, courageous and painstaking in meditating on the highest point of earth in the cold and wilderness of the southern Tibetan cold desert. So he says one must be brave and one must be willing to take extreme amount of physical and mental pain to show to the entire world that it is not easy to cut yourself off the Maya of this world. The tiger skin, the Vyagra charma that he wears also shows that one must be extremely brave and to a certain extent raw in their nature to reach the meditative states of transcendence. You must be wild. If you are very cultured, then you are still stuck with the social norms. You are a cultured being. Cultured beings find it difficult because they are so sophisticated that it becomes difficult for the cultured beings to become wild and accessible to the laws of nature. At the same time, like I said, the Shiva and Shakti who have split apart to give darshana to the Chaturmukha Brahma, they are having this conversation. This entire session is a conversation between the split image of Shiva and Shakti with the Chaturmukha Brahma. Now it is a time of Shakti to speak. And Shakti is saying, I will be born as a woman to show this entire universe what an Adarsha Patni is, to show this entire universe the model of a woman, to show how a woman should live. Shakti will incarnate as the companion of Rudra, and she will be born as the daughter of Daksha Prajapati, the first king of this world. Brahma now fulfills his promise of creation by taking inspiration from the Ardhanarishvara form. He starts creating male and female human forms. Out of this, the first male Manu is born and the first female Sadrupa is born, and then they come together. Brahma gives them the adhikara, the right to procreate, to create more humans. And this is how mankind is born. In fact, the word man comes from the word Manu. Manu is the first man from which the word mankind itself is born. Man is also born, the word mankind is also born from Manu and Shadrupa. This happens in the Brahmavarta Pradesha, the region of Brahmavarta, which can be traced today, the Bithur region near Kanpur, Uttar Pradesh, where there is a Manu and Sadrupa temple even today, and people go to pray to have offsprings and have children. Promptly, Henceforth, Rudra appears on Mount Kailasha. Brahma, Vishnu, and the Ganas. We hear this word for the first time. The Shiva Ganas appear and receive two things from Rudra. What do they receive? They receive the Vijnana, the Vishesha Jnana, the special knowledge of reverting back to the Godhead of Sadashiva. And when they have the darshana, when they have the sight of Rudra, they receive endless ananda, they receive endless bliss. We will stop here and have a small prayer before we end this session. I'll take your classes after the prayer. Shri Shambho Ramanatha, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Repeat after me. Dhyana Moolam Gurur Murtihi, Puja Moolam Gurur Padam, Mantra Moolam Gurur Vakyam, Moksha Moolam Gurur Kripa. Shri Shambho Ramanatha, Shri Shambho Ramanatha. Are there any questions? If there are, you have to type it and I will be happy to answer.